I want somebody to explain to me in my comment section right now. Be brave. Explain to me how alphabet community people made up of mentally ill people, gays, trannies, and the like, along with the woke brigade. Explain to me how these groups of people can barely support games that are targeted to their audience, like a game like Dustborn, right? Games that have nothing to do with people like myself, but yet and still you want to give these same groups titles that balloon up into the millions and millions of dollars of development, like a Concord. I want to understand the logic of that, because let me give you a news flash in case maybe you're new here or maybe you're part of these groups, and I just really need to get this off my chest, like breast reduction. The vast majority of the gaming industry, in terms of people who buy the games, support the games, buy the DLC, make the YouTube videos, all of that, the vast majority of that market are straight, hetero men and women. That is a fact. You know what? And if you want to argue this, I had this idea, this epiphany. The idea is this. What do you think would happen if all of us, we just systematically stop buying games, buying DLC, and we stop all of that? And we leave it to the woke groups, to the alphabet community, to sustain the gaming industry. I guarantee you this industry would die within a month. It would die within a month. I guarantee it. 1,000% it would die within a month. Because these people can barely support, like I said, they can barely support their own games that's targeted to them, which, to be perfectly honest, I have nothing personal against these groups. What the issue is when people that represent these groups get into a position of power and influence to where they can make a decision on where a game is going to go or a show and what messages they're going to force through. That's the issue that I have. And that's exactly what's going on in the gaming industry and also in Hollywood as well, because you have a bunch of people that instead of making compelling games, instead of making quality games with good characters, strong storyline, you're creating games that are focusing on identity politics, who in the group that you can screw, that same sex, and also, and the latest one, Dragon Age. We're gonna give top scars, basically self-mutilation. That's basically what that is, to try to masquerade as something that you're not. Here's something that I want to say about that particular topic, since I'm doing a kind of a state of a state of a, what do you call it? A state of the union of sorts. If you are a tranny and you're going from a man to a woman, wouldn't it just make more sense in the character creator that you would just make yourself a female character? Isn't that the goal? Isn't that the fantasy that you're trying to live out, that you want to be a woman? Or if you're a woman and you want to Mr. Potato Head your body into being a man, wouldn't it not make more sense to just simply create a male character in the character creation? You see, I'm all over in this video, and yes, this is a bit of a rant, but there's a ton of facts and a ton of passion here, because I'm beyond tolerant. I'm getting tired of this. One look at Ubisoft's stock, you can see that they're in the toilet. This was a company, contrary to what people may or may not know, this was a company that used to be $90 to $100 plus per share in the stock market. Now they're what, $10? I actually saw one point, I don't know if I read it correctly, they were at like $5. So clearly, what companies like Ubisoft, EA, Disney, what they're doing is alienating the vast majority of their total addressable market, which are people like myself and maybe people like you who are straight, normal, heterosexual men or women. Because it is off of our purchases, our influence, where franchises like a Star Wars, like a Lord of the Rings, like an Assassin's Creed, these franchises were elevated to the heights that they currently were before identity politics was rammed on through. So, it's fine. I don't expect many people to even watch this. And like I said, I expect a whole ton of dislikes, but I know 1000% where those dislikes are coming from. So then, just to kind of go off on another angle here, before I get back to the typical news reporting like every other YouTuber is doing, reading from an article. I guess I'll be doing that too. Shout out to That Park Place. I guess I'll be doing that. But for now, we're just going full scorched earth right here. So I read a report, yes, that Ubisoft is contemplating going private. Oh man, I'm going to have fun when I talk about that one, because the mere fact that you have a public company whose stock is in the toilet talking about wanting to go private, let me say that I'm 90% sure it's simply to just continue pushing their nonsense without having the look or the appearance of their financials doing bad. Because if you notice, a lot of YouTubers will highlight, look at Ubisoft stock. It's $10. It went from up here to down here. So Ubisoft would like to kind of eliminate that. It actually reminds me of apparently you can see a lot of thumbs up in videos, but you can't see the thumbs down unless you have like some sort of an extension that you install into your computer or laptop. So it's kind of like the same thing. They don't want people to see the result of them pandering to these groups. That's what it comes down to. They don't want to see it. I will say this video right now, I'm almost 8 minutes in, would probably be much better as a live stream, because I'm just going in. But when you try to explain something to people and you're trying to say, hey, this is why this is the way it is, people will always want to say, well, why is there so much DEI in our movies, our games and such? I actually have a video on that. But like I said, because I'm not a top level YouTuber, I don't have tens of thousands of views within an hour of me uploading. A lot of people are not going to get this information. In fact, the only people that really speak on this at length are really finance channels. Now, I've come across one or two channels that did touch on this, but for the most part, the main reason for all of this nonsense in gaming, in TV shows like Star Wars Acolyte and that garbage, and whatever else they're gonna push, is because these companies, they pander to these groups, and as a result, they're able to check off certain boxes. And the more of these boxes they check off, the higher their ESG score gets. Now, I've made a video about this, and I will link that video in this one for like maybe the two of you that's still probably watching. Now, the higher your ESG score, by contrast, the lower your ESG risk analysis is. So it's not a shocker that companies like, EA, Disney, Ubisoft, even Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, everybody, they have this low ESG risk. So as a result, the top companies like a BlackRock, a Vanguard, a State Street, these companies will funnel money into these other companies to offset whatever financial losses they incur from putting out trash programs and trash video games. So when you hear Sony lost an estimated $400 million off of the game Concord, I can just about promise, maybe 70%, that the vast majority of that money was not Sony's. Let me ask you this question. For the five, maybe there might be 5 of you still watching. Let me ask this question. If you were running a business, let's keep it honest. If you were running a business and the product that you are pushing or service that you're pushing is not giving you a significant return on investment, and instead you are losing millions and millions of dollars with nothing really to show for it. Now you might look at that and say, you know what, that was a fluke. Let me do it again. Again, it happens. At what point in time will you, as the CEO or leadership of that company or brand, will make a course correction and say, you know what, we're going to go a different direction. We tried going to the left. Now we're going to go to the right. Or better yet, how is leadership and the CEO still employed? How are they not fired? How is Kathleen Kennedy, that chick from Disney that has essentially ruined the Star Wars franchise, how is she still hired? How is she still employed? The answer, my 5 or maybe 6 of you that's still watching, the answer is simply this. It is because these companies are so embedded in the whole DEI scam, it's a smokescreen, that they're getting so much money from ESG, so much financial backing, so much favorable investors as a result of them having a low risk analysis, that they don't need to fire the CEO. They don't need to fire people like Kathleen Kennedy. They don't need to. Even if you can visually see, like Ubisoft, you can see their stock is in the toilet. Would you know that if this was a normal, regular company, a company like Ubisoft in the situation that they're in would have been out of business. Would have been out of business. Or already on their way. They wouldn't be talking about making the next big thing, which in Ubisoft's case is another trash Assassin's Creed Hex. I just recently learned about that. It's supposed to be the gayest Assassin's Creed yet. So that proves my point that these companies, when you're willing to play ball, when you're willing to play that DEI ball, when they throw you that DEI ball and you catch it and you're running with it, other companies are going to take care of you. That's a fact. So I don't want to get on too long. It's almost 14 minutes. So maybe one day I'll live stream this, but whoever of you actually sat through and watched this, I hope that you learned something. I hope that this video related to you. And believe me, if you are the other type that want to dislike the hell out of this video, trust me, I know who you are. I know what you stand for. So, and that's fine. Leave your dislikes because I know exactly where they're coming from. And to the other people that are sound of mine, I would love to hear your actual comments because I value your input. And I will get back to doing the tried and true YouTube news reporting. So anyway, I have a video coming out pretty soon on that. But yeah, trying to grow the channel. If you're willing, subscribe, like, do all that fun stuff. Anyway, take care.